Welcome to the From Code to C-Suite podcast.
I'm a big believer in culture that comes top down. You have to practice what you preach. The key point here is don't be afraid to fail. Go ahead and do it. Fail and learn from and adapt and pivot. The ability to pivot or to unlearn or learn from something that failed is extremely essential in any industry for a founder.
This week, our guest is Khalil Alami, CEO of Telr, an award-winning and leading online payment gateway across the GCC. With more than 23 years of proven leadership experience across financial services, fintech, payments and card industries, Khalil has built multi-million-dollar organizations. He's also been awarded the top 23 most influential figures across LinkedIn, Fintech Company of the Year, Best Payment Gateway of the Year, and also been highlighted in Forbes Middle East Fintech. Let's get into the conversation.
And I think that's exactly what my mistake was, is being too sentimental.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you should also remove, is sentiment from business. Anybody, come to Dubai, Habibi.
Khalil, good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome. I'm really excited to get into this one. I keep seeing you guys everywhere and yourself on LinkedIn at the moment. So really keen to deep dive into how this has happened, what you're up to now and everything around that. So
fantastic. Looking forward. Thank you.
Good stuff. Just so everybody knows, could you please give us a bit of an introduction of exactly who you are and what you're working on right now?
Sure. My name is Khalil Alami, and I am the founder and CEO of Telr, the online payment gateway. We started Telr in 2014, about 11 years ago here in Dubai. We saw an opportunity to actually create an online payment gateway to support the e-commerce or then starting e-commerce economy here in the UAE. And from there, we've built this online state-of-the-art online payment gateway for the region, from the region. And it was a great time to really dive into the digitization of commerce. At the time, most of the electronic commerce that was happening was on a cash delivery basis. Mm-hmm. So we thought, we saw merchants struggling every time they wanted to accept payments online. They had to go either to the east or the west. Maybe PayPal wasn't that common here in the Middle East at the time as well. So they had some challenges, whether it was customer service or rates or services. So we decided to do that. And then that's when Telr was born. And then over the years, we've expanded to obviously Saudi Arabia and other markets here in the region. So in a nutshell, we're working on building a basically technology first online payment processor.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Telr's doing so well at the moment? How come what's your USP in comparison to other businesses in the space?
I think, this is a great question. And I think the USP is, we have, I don't want to say many, but we have a few USPs, but I think the strongest one that we really hold very dear to our heart is our ability to fully customize, localize, and deliver a very unique product for each and every merchant. And that is built on the fact that our technology is our own. So we are able to hyper-localize, hyper-customize for every single merchant. And I think that's the key item for within our success, because we can cater for that startup that has barely any budget, that's trying to make it. At the same time, we can also cater with the same technology for that large multinational online e-commerce monster that's operating here in the UAE.
Nice. How big is the market for that sort of thing here, and how much of a market share would you say you guys have got at the moment?
To be honest with you, I try to shy away from market share quantification, because market share is quite subjective, because we can look at it in multiple ways, whether it was volume, number of merchants. It just depends on what it is. But what I can say is that thankfully we've built a brand that is very well liked by our merchants, by the people here in the UAE. We're very proud that we're part of the Future 100 companies of 2024 of the UAE. We're also licensed in Saudi. We've been operating there for over 8 years now. And we believe our self-perception is that we're in the top 5 in both markets. We also operate in Jordan and Bahrain as well.
Nice.
And we have a couple markets in the pipeline. But, we like to quantify it by what our brand means and what does it stand for in the market.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, look, you guys are obviously doing the right thing. And as mentioned before, I see you guys all over at the moment, winning lots of different awards yourself, the business. So can you tell us a bit more about the awards that you've won recently and over the past few years as well?
Sure. I mean, it's always nice to, when you get that call or email saying, hey, you've won an award based on merit. We didn't ask for it. We didn't pay for it. We didn't do anything for it. So we're very proud to have lately won like I mentioned, the Future 100 companies of the UAE.
Yeah.
So that was a very proud moment, as well as Payment Gateway of the Year, Fintech of the Year. So we've won many awards. And to be honest with you, it's not about just Telr winning it. It tells a story about what kind of team is running this brand and what kind of team is holding this company and growing it and making sure that we get there. So that's really some of the awards that we've very proud of. I myself also recently got into the top 100 most influential LinkedIn, whatever.
That's an amazing achievement.
It's nice. I mean, I like it. It caught me by surprise. But so.
Out of all the awards you've had ever since starting the business to now, which one would you say that you're most proud of?
I think the Future 100 was one of our proudest moments because it was judged by a big group of judges that are coming from the government, private sector, different facets of the economy, as well as it is an initiative that is run by the Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Technology and AI. So it holds a lot of merit, and I think that's one of the best ones that we've ever won.
Nice. Is there any future awards that are on your bucket list that you'd love to win?
I mean, we always strive to win new awards, but I think the goal is more focused on growing the business and reaching our milestones and targets towards our customers and our merchant base. And of course, as we do that, whatever award comes along, that'll be great.
Nice. On to that then, what would you say the next 5 to 10 years looks like for Telr? What's your ambitions?
5 to 10 years is pretty long because we're in an industry that is super dynamic. It changes every day. We have just finalized earlier this year our final license from the central bank. As you might know, our industry went into a fully regulated, became a fully regulated industry, and therefore, obviously, we needed to get licensed and regulated. And thankfully, we are one of the few fully licensed and regulated by the central bank entities today. And with that, we are expanding our business model because regulation enables us to do more, innovate more, come up with new innovative products. And that's what we're doing. So we have in the pipeline a few innovative products that we've not done before. And now that is a catalyst for us to, introduce them into the market. So historically, in the last 11 years, we've been 100% focused on only e-commerce on the payment side. So we have plans to expand that outside of e-commerce and into face-to-face transactions as well.
Nice.
But we're continue to build towards our main objective, which is a technology-first payments company.
Nice. Makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so turning back the time a little bit, how did you first spark an interest in technology?
Oh, wow. that takes me back quite some time. I guess that's reveal part of my age. So, so growing up, as a kid, I always, I'm the guy that took apart the VCR.
Okay.
If you know what a VCR is, okay, yeah. So prior to DVDs, I'm sure you video cassettes and whatever. So yeah, I was always taking part of different electronic stuff back at home. And then over that, after that, during university, I was the guy that internet was just born in the mid 90s. Websites have become a thing. The www, the web, whatever. Everybody wanted a website, right? So I started looking into HTML, doing websites in university. I developed a couple of websites, became the go-to in the friends group where I have a technological issue. I want to do a website for this club or for this organization or whatever. And family, friends calling me, hey, my computer is stuck, what do I do, stuff like that. So that was where my interest came into technology. And obviously I was studying at the time management information systems and coding, so
nice,
that helped.
Okay, so you actually came from, when you went to university, things like that. Did you study in tech? You learned how to do software engineering and come from computer science?
Not quite, because my main focus of education is economics and finance. So, but as a secondary, because of my interest in technology, I had a minor in management information systems, and that's where the technology part came in.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And how did you land your first job in the industry, and what was that?
Right after university, I worked for American Express in the US for a couple of years. And there I was introduced to the world of financial markets.
Was you in the US at the time then when this was going?
I was studying in the US. After I got done with my university degree, I worked at American Express in the US. And there I was introduced to the world of financial markets. I became a certified stockbroker, which is completely different than what we're doing here.
How was stockbroking life?
It was intense. Yeah, but it opened it opened a big industry and experience and exposure for me on a very different or let's say upbeat and intense career.
Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Oh yeah.
Is it similar? Is it really like that?
No, it's not quite like that. I mean, there's a lot of things there, but that's more of a Hollywood production. But yeah, of course, I think it's a little bit more boring than that, sitting behind a screen. But yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. So yeah, and then from there, I decided to move back to the Middle East and went and worked for ABC Bank, which is out of Bahrain, but they had a subsidiary in Jordan that was looking to set up a U.S. trading desk and a local trading desk, and I was invited to go and set that up for them, and that's where I went into that. And then from there, looked into financial services and all of that, and then moved out of the bank and took over and started a payments startup back there in Jordan. And then from there, eventually landed in Telr.
How was the difference? Because I guess working at some huge bank, right, in comparison to a small startup, there's a big culture difference. How did you find that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's listen, working. I from my humble experience, I think working for a multinational and then into a large bank, corporate style, I think gave me a lot of tools and set up my work ethic that I can use in a startup culture, that can, mold the guidance and put me in a right track, because there's a lot of good things in structure that you can use when you're a startup founder. So I think I learned a lot from the multinational culture, from the corporate culture in a bank. I still use a lot of tools from those times until today.
Out of the different businesses that you have worked at, where do you feel like you gained the most experience?
I think American Express is definitely a school. I think I was schooled quite a lot there. Training was intense, and I'm not talking about actual trading experience or training. I'm talking about actual work ethic, training and corporate training. That was pretty. It is really a school of you'll either find. I mean, if you look at American Express today, you'll find a lot of their employees have been there for years and years. Yeah.
Nice. And then obviously you've started you worked in the startup. Was that a payment fintech? What was the sort of background of that business?
Well, at that point in time, this was back in the early 2000s, so it wasn't really called fintech at the time. It was still financial services because technology was not looked at the same concept. But yes, it was in payments. It was an issuer on the issuing side, meaning issuing of credit cards, and acquiring, which is payments processing. And from that journey over a few years, went from startup all the way through the IPO process. And then in 2019, I moved over to Telr and took over Telr and started reshaping and rebranding and doing all that.
Nice. What made you do for that, like the transition from, I guess, working from somebody else, working in other businesses, to actually giving it a go and starting by yourself?
I think it was time from a growth perspective for me personally, and I think it was time to really come and mold something, into a success story.
Mm-hmm. And since you've started Telr, what would you say the biggest challenges you faced? I guess if we start off at the initial starting point, getting things off the ground, what sort of issues did you face at that point?
So when I joined Telr in 2019, it was one of the biggest challenges. It was actually recreating the brand, the reputation, and all of that. Because as I mentioned, Telr is an 11-year-old company, and I've been with them for 6 years. So I'm not the original founder, actually.
Okay.
So the original founder came in and got some funding in and went through his journey. And then in 2019, they reached a point just like any other company where there's ups and downs. They were at a low point where they needed somebody to come in and step in and rebrand, reshape the future of the company. And that's when I came in. So one of the biggest challenges I faced was, how do you make sure that you can recreate that brand in the minds of the people in the market? That's one. And two, how do you make sure that the employees of the company are aligned with the actual brand values that you have? So those are two challenges that we had to work really hard on. And thankfully, we were very successful in a short period of time to put back the brand and the company into the right trajectory to reach where we are today.
What did that process look like? What was the blueprint of doing that, the transition?
I think culture is one of the biggest factors in that. So I'm a big believer in culture that comes top down. You have to practice what you preach, and you have to show what the actual brand values of the company are, and you have to get the buy-in of the employees, because that's where it starts. You can have a brand with all these brand values, but if the employees of the company themselves do not project those values, the outside customer will never see them. So that was one of the biggest challenges and strategies, I guess, that I was working on. How do you get the employees to unlearn a process that I think was not for us at the time? How do you reprocess that, and how do you get the buy-in for them to change?
Was that at that point then? Was the business based in the UAE?
Yeah,
right then?
that's since it started. It was in the UAE in 2014, and like I told you, it was all about building a business from the region for the region.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
Speaking to different CTOs and CEOs of business, actually, they say one of the hardest things that they've had, whether that's they've come from European backgrounds or even regional backgrounds here, they find that culture is super difficult, because a lot of the time the staff and the teams that you build here are so multicultural that it can be really difficult to build a good culture. Have you got any advice on how you would make sure that there's a good staple across the business on that?
I think I agree with that statement, that it's quite difficult, but at the same time, I think focusing on the general corporate culture will always overcome and have everybody fall into that line of culture of or the corporate culture they're trying to create, regardless of where they're from or what their culture are. So I think creating that healthy culture internally will overcome any other challenge of that.
Nice. When was there a point when, obviously you've joined back Telr 4 or 5 years ago, is there a point when you guys really started to see a lot of progress and you thought you was definitely on the right path for building something special here?
Yeah, so I joined Telr 6 years ago, and we've done multiple funding rounds. I think we did a major one about 2 years ago, and I think after cleaning up and putting it in the right trajectory, having that buy-in 2 years ago, where major funding came in and got into the company, gave us validation that what we were doing is right. And after that, also we've done a couple funding rounds, so that also gave us another validation point of we're on the right trajectory. And then finally, earlier this year, when we got the final license from the central bank, that also gave us foolproof validation on our processes, on our setup, on our the way we do business as well.
Makes sense. Like future trajectory, do you think you guys will go through many more funding rounds? What's the plan of action for that sort of stuff?
I mean, we're at the growth stage at the moment. We don't have anything planned at the moment, but I'm sure funding rounds will be coming around the corner, probably towards the end of the year. We have aspirations to grow into other markets. So yeah, absolutely. I mean,
what other markets do you see yourself going into? Anything outside of the MENA region?
No, I think we're super focused, or razor focused on the MENA region. So I think, today we are in UAE, Saudi, Bahrain, and Jordan.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at Egypt, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman. So yeah, within this region.
Out of all the markets that you guys are currently in, where do you see like the best upwards trajectory? Whether it be Saudi, whether it be, I guess, Abu Dhabi as well?
That we're already in. I think Saudi is growing quite extensively. It's a great market. It's a big market. We've seen good traction there. Like I said, we've been there for about 8 years, and we have good growth.
I guess specifically in this region as well, what would you say the biggest changes have been over the past, like, reverse 5 or 10 years in fintech in this region?
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, the regulation is the biggest change.
Yeah.
Prior to, I would say, 2021, all these markets were unregulated. So regulation came in early 2021, and that completely changed the industry. So I think that's the biggest change that happened in the last 5 years.
With regulation being implemented, does that then mean it's safer for, or more likely for investors to start investing money into that sector, would you say?
I think it definitely gives them comfort, but I don't think it's a direct result of that, because I'm a big advocate of regulation, because it really regulates the market and weeds out all the bad actors or weak actors, let's say, within the market. So whoever has survived the regulation and is regulated is strong and sound and has a good operation. So that's one thing, and then that leads into the investors having more faith. Oh, this is regulated, so there's somebody looking after our investment or looking over our investment. So yeah, that's for sure.
Nice. And then what about the future? What do you think the next sort of 5 to 10 years look like for fintech space in UAE? What changes could you possibly see?
I think consolidation is key. I think we've already seen a couple of consolidations happen in the last year, and I think that'll continue to happen. So yeah, I think consolidation is one. We've seen a lot of growth as in the UAE. You look at the population is growing. There's more investors coming into the market. So with all these new people that are coming into the UAE, because the UAE at the end of the day is the hub of, especially in our industry, it's the hub for everything fintech, and not only in the region but also actually worldwide. If you look, there's no other regulator that's more progressive than the UAE central bank. They're extremely progressive, and it's very hard for you to find a fintech founder talking positively about a regulator, unless they're in the UAE. And some other regional markets have a similar experience, but the UAE has definitely been the most progressive.
Is that why it's so attractive then for people to move over here, set up fintech companies, or be based here?
Absolutely. And that's why I'm telling you, everybody's moving here. That's in our industry, but in other industries, I'm sure there are other positive stories. And that's why the population of residents keeps increasing.
I read an article this morning, actually. 89,000 people moved just in Q1 to Dubai. It's crazy numbers.
And what that means for fintech companies or payments companies, there's more cards in the market. There's more people renting houses. There's more people buying cars or renting cars, spending on groceries, ordering food, doing all of that. And all that is payments. So
such a good position to be in then.
I mean, the same goes for restaurants, the same goes for cars, the same goes for everything. So it's not a position, but it's a great country to be in.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
How do you see the future of fintech with AI?
Listen, AI is something that is extremely important, that we are trying to integrate into a lot of the things that we do, especially in anti-fraud and protection, I guess, and security, because it can process at a much faster speed than what we can. It can also predict a lot of things and trends that we might not see, or it might take us a few days to see. So that's one aspect. A lot of other things that we can automate with AI. This is another thing that we're working on, where maybe onboarding can be done with an AI agent. We don't need an actual person anymore, at least in the front face. There's a lot of things that will positively impact the fintech industry.
Do you think, like, if it comes to team building, for example, I always get asked this question with recruitment, like, are you going to replace staff with AI, things like that? Do you feel like for your business and the future, do you feel like it's more AI could be a replacement of headcount, or just to maximize the potential of what headcount could do inside of a business?
I think it's more of a maximization of capacity, and I really like the word co-pilot. So it's like everyone has a co-pilot with him that makes sure that you're more efficient, you're faster, you have more capacity to do things. I'm not a big advocate of replacing people with AI, but I'm a bigger advocate of utilizing AI to enhance services and capacities and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. What advice would you give to aspiring tech founders, especially in the fintech space, if anyone wants to get into it now?
I think every founder of any startup, regardless of it's fintech or others, I think they should be risk takers. Don't be afraid. I think the key point here is don't be afraid to fail. Go ahead and do it. Fail and learn from and adapt and pivot. The ability to pivot or to unlearn or learn from something that failed is extremely essential in any industry for a founder.
Nice. I don't want to call it a failure because, I feel like every time you fail, you learn something. So it's valuable experience.
Absolutely.
What would you say one of your biggest failures as such might have been in your career or in industry so far?
I think early on, the fear of pivoting or the fear of failure keeps keeps your hopes up. I'm going to do this to keep trying to revive or whatever that idea is, as opposed to realizing this is not working. I need to stop, pivot, and do something else. So that's I think that's something that I learned quite late.
How do you make that decision though? Because I feel like that's so hard, right? You can think you're on the right track, and it could be something that's quite sentimental, like an idea you've got in your mind for so long, but you need to pivot. How do you recognize that that's the time?
And I think that's exactly, you hit it right on the head. And I think that's exactly what my mistake was, is being too sentimental.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you should also remove, is sentiment from business, because you need to be able to identify and take that hard decision. It's okay if it doesn't work out.
Nice, cool. One last question: any other advice you give to anybody else in the industry that wants to get into the industry?
Into the industry?
Yeah.
I think focusing on technology first I know it's called fintech and financial and technology, finance and technology, or financial technology, but a lot of people forget the technology part and they just come up with the idea without the technology part. So I think we should have more technology first fintechs. So techfin maybe is a better term.
Better term for it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Khalil. That's been a really good chat. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure always talking to you.
Welcome. Where can everybody find you if they want to find you on LinkedIn or?
LinkedIn. I don't know if we can post the link to my profile or just telr.com. You can super easy telr.com, and we're based out of Dubai.
Awesome.
So anybody come to Dubai, Habibi.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
My pleasure.